all come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's
puertas.
a tonight's ride in the Vista.
In this elevated travel door is changing.
Hello and welcome to Miles from Main Street, your Far From Disney podcast. My name is Mikhailo.
And I'm Brian.
And we're here to talk about Disney World,
But especially coping away from Disney.
which we know a lot about being from the Midwest.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we have another Park versus Park, Miles from Main Street edition. This week, we have Magic Kingdom versus Epcot. This one's pretty good for the 50th season right now, because these were the two parks that first opened at Disney World. So that's pretty cool. They're both pretty near and dear to my heart. I'm sure the same it can be said about for Brian. So we'll see how this goes. I know I definitely have some opinions on some stuff, and I'm sure Brian has some opinions on stuff. So we'll get going. We're going to be following the same guidelines that we had for the last podcast that we had like this, which was we're going to be talking about rides, layout, dining, theming, and entertainment. So those are the categories that we'll be judging these parks on. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to select which park we chose, and then at the end tally everything up. So
yeah, and if you guys want to go back and listen, we did Animal Kingdom versus Hollywood Studios on episode 44. So you can go back and listen to that one if you want and get caught up on these park battles. This is going to be fun. Like we said in that podcast, we're going to be doing all of them. Every park versus every park, however it shakes out, and we'll come up with some sort of grand champion at the end, I guess. How it can't be Magic Kingdom, I don't know. Oh, shoot. I shouldn't be throwing my bias out there. Anyway, we'll see how this goes tonight.
Definitely. I'm kind of right there with you, but we'll see how it shakes out. So starting with rides. I definitely have some thoughts on this. And I'll just start with my pick and then we'll talk about it. So for rides between Magic Kingdom and Epcot, I would pick Magic Kingdom. Now, in a way, Epcot, I don't know, I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to rides at Epcot, because most of the time when I'm going to Epcot, it's not for the rides. Like, there's so many other things to do at that park. The rides are almost like secondary. Like the first thing I think about when I go to Epcot is the countries. Like, I love walking around the countries in the back. Like, that's like as soon as I get back there, that's when my day hits 11. So that's kind of like, it's not my main focus when I go to Epcot, but it's definitely one of them. However, the whole front part of Epcot, which is kind of like the future world area type thing, that has a lot of really great rides. Soarin' being one of them. I know that's my mother's favorite ride. She loves Soarin'. Test Track, I can do without now, but old school Test Track was like where it's at. And then even some classic dark rides like Finding Nemo. I love that one too. So it definitely does have some pretty great rides. And Frozen, that used to be Maelstrom, also a great ride. But when it comes to Magic Kingdom, you just can't beat these classic attractions like Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, these are iconic rides that like you can't skip over. They also have some newer rides there, and some rides that are supposed to be coming that are going to be pretty awesome. Same can be said about Epcot. But there's just something about these classic attractions that I just love. And I know it's the same with a lot of other people, where like just these classic attractions they grew up with, they have that nostalgia for these attractions, and there's just that great feeling with them. So that's the main reason why I picked Magic Kingdom for rides. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm over here agreeing with everything you're saying. I mean, if you want to go sheer numbers, Magic Kingdom has more rides. I mean, they've just got more to do. And like you said, you've got these classic rides. You've got Carousel of Progress, which ties directly to Walt himself, right? Like that's one of them that he actually worked on. They've got some good stuff coming in, and they've got so many just classic, like you said, rides that everybody just loves. And even when one has to leave, like if you look at Mr. Toad, when it left, there were people sitting in to protest that they were getting rid of it. Like there's so much nostalgia, so much history there beyond the 50 years that it's been there, that it's hard to say Magic Kingdom is not the best. So I agree completely. We have to go with Magic Kingdom there.
Definitely. And I had no doubt that you were going to pick Magic Kingdom for this, because I know you kind of have that same mentality as I do.
Yeah, being the history guy, I'm gonna go historical. I'm gonna go nostalgic. I'm gonna go where everyone kind of goes towards. Like when I think Disney World, the first thing that pops into my head is Magic Kingdom, and then I'm thinking about those iconic rides. And you don't think about the other parks when you think about those rides. So, got to go with Magic Kingdom.
So, next up, we're going to talk about layout. And I have some strong opinions on this. However, I do feel like both parks bring something to the table when it comes to layout. However, for my pick, I'm going to pick Magic Kingdom. And we're just going to talk hub and spoke. Like this was just completely innovative when it first came out. And what that means is you've got the castle in the middle. The whole park kind of radiates out from the middle, which is the castle. So you've got all the different lands radiating out from this hub area. And I mean, it's just, there's really not much to say about it other than like it works. This was something that Walt Disney came up with. Disneyland is the same way too. It's that same hub and spoke type layout, and it just works. Like it's pretty much perfect for like moving around. I do find myself as a Disney fan and somebody who doesn't do the parks as traditionally as other people do, where you just kind of like follow the loop and just kind of go around. I tend to hop around, and having that hub middle area to walk through constantly, that you don't have to kind of like weave your way around stuff, works perfectly. So that's my pick. However, the way Epcot is laid out is actually kind of a cool way, how you have the future in the front and you have the countries and the history in the back. I really enjoy that, and kind of the way that the countries are all put together, how you go around this lagoon, and the lagoon is beautiful minus a Stargate, and you go through the lagoon and you go through all the different countries. I think that's so cool that you just kind of take this loop and you walk through everything. But that's the thing, is that you've got Future World in the front, which is kind of a hub and spoke type area, where you've got the middle area and then you've got all the lands around it. But then that doesn't really lead back to the countries. Like the countries don't really get integrated into that very much. And you can tell that this was here's the history nugget for you. This was supposed to be two different parks, and they just pushed them both together, which makes sense. However, I do enjoy Epcot's layout as well, with the countries in the back and Future World in the front. So that is another thing, but it's just when it comes down to it, the way that Magic Kingdom is put together is pretty much perfect, and they mimicked Disneyland in that way, which I find really great as well. So
Yeah, I'm completely agreeing with you as well, and it's almost like we're related or something. The hub and spoke, as you said, it did come from Walt, and in the first iteration of it, there was one way in and out of each land. So you went, and the center of that hub is the partner statue, and you would walk into Tomorrowland, and you had to come back to the hub, and then you had to pick another spoke, and that became a problem for people. And so they, like if I'm in Fantasyland, I want to jump over to Tomorrowland, I shouldn't have to make it all the way back to the center and come and go that way. So they did finally start opening up those sides so that you did create that loop, which I think helps the flow of traffic there a lot. As you said, you can cut across the park if you need to. You can make the loop if you want. However, it really helps the flow of traffic. As far as Epcot, I have trouble with the countries and going through World Showcase. It is a mile to walk around. And yes, they have the friendship boats, but I don't really want to jump on a mode of transportation at that point. I want to be able to get where I'm going and not have to wait for a boat. Really, I'm not looking to cut off anything there either, but it'd be nice to have a little bit more options if I could. Because once you get back to America, it's right or left. You're kind of stuck, right? You have to go one way or the other. I do like that they have the entrance in the back. And the front of the park is just a mess right now because of all the construction. It'll be interesting to see how it looks when it's done. I'm super excited for that when it is done. I can't wait to see how it's going to look. But going historically and everything like I did with the rides, we got to go with hub and spoke as the best layout.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I completely agree, and I feel like that's the right decision. So here's another one. Speaking of the right decision, here's another one that came pretty quickly to me. Like this was a pretty quick decision for me, and that's dining. And I picked Epcot, and I feel like, I mean, that should be a pretty quick decision for pretty much everybody. Not to take away anything about the dining at Magic Kingdom, there's some really great places to go and find some amazing meals, but the dining at Epcot, it's just built in. Like that's pretty much why people go sometimes. It's to experience the dining, and it's just like top notch. Like there's so many different places that you can go, so many different things that you can experience, and I mean it's kind of hard to put into words what that's like, just like having all of these all-star restaurants just like all in a row. Like almost every country has one, and it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. And so it's kind of hard to go to other parks and judge the dining based on Epcot, because Epcot is the dining park pretty much. You go to Epcot to experience these countries and experience the future, but also to experience the dining. Like you can't go to Epcot and not have a table service meal somewhere. I mean, at least that's my opinion. You could string a whole bunch of different meals together and probably still have a pretty amazing meal, which still says a lot about what the dining is like at Epcot. So that is my choice. Again, nothing too much against the dining at Magic Kingdom. There is some really great places to go, but it's just, for me, it's hands down Epcot, and that's going to be the case anytime Epcot goes up against anything. I'm telling you right now. So that's where I'm at with that.
So I'm going to get a little nerdy on you right now. There's a really great documentary on Disney Plus about Wolfgang Puck. And when he came to California and started doing what he did, he kind of revolutionized the food industry. So if we extrapolate that to the Magic Kingdom in 1971, Wolfgang Puck was still in Austria, right? He hadn't done anything yet. So this is where history, I think, kind of hurts you a little bit. It was, your typical amusement park type fare: hot dogs, corn dogs, funnel cakes, ice cream, the Dole Whip. It was snacks. It was quick food. It was, hamburgers and whatever. And I think that was left to a detriment for a while. And in the last decade, they've been upping that somewhat. You've got Cinderella's Royal Table. You've got Be Our Guest. Skipper Canteen is someplace that I have not been yet. But Mikhailo, I believe you enjoy going there, or have been there, right?
Oh yeah, I love going there. It's such a cool, and it, almost for ambiance alone. Just, I love the Jungle Cruise. I love the Society of Explorers. And so it's just a very cool place to go, and the food is pretty decent too. So
yeah, and unfortunately, it's gotten mixed reviews, and like I want to go there. It's on the top it's on my list to get there. But when you have that, but then, so you've named those three places. I know a lot of people like to go to Liberty Tree Tavern for a Thanksgiving meal. But you don't really think about that place either when you're thinking Magic Kingdom. You start thinking of Cosmic Rays, of Casey's Corner. Where can I pick up my turkey leg? Where can I get those spring rolls? I mean, it's all snack-based type foods. So when you're talking about dining options, Epcot just has way too much. Like, you've got the top French cuisine. You've got wonderful Italian food. You've got, a really great Mexican restaurant that's looking over the water. You go to England, I mean, nobody talks about English food really, but the fish and chips are always a popular hit there, and people want to go eat at Rose and Crown, right? You go to Canada, has an amazing steakhouse. Now, let's go to the front of the park. Nobody really likes going to, now the name is escaping me, the place in the aquarium.
Coral Reef.
Coral Reef, yes. I ate there. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. But I know a lot of people don't. And seafood can be a finicky thing for people. So I would tell people to go there. But you've got that, and Space 220, which just opened and everyone seems to love. So, you've got, I think the countries have kind of lended to that because, what's the great saying? We learn each other's culture through their food. Something along those lines. I'm getting it wrong, but, but that's kind of the basis for all that dining, right? Like, if we're going to be dining in a country, we want to experience that country. So just the fact that they're able to have this park and have so many dining options and have them be so successful. I mean, there's 3 restaurants in Japan alone, and they're all flourishing. I mean, it's amazing. Takumi Tai is closed right now, but that'll be coming along eventually. It's hard to pick against Epcot in this, in this section for dining. You look at the snacks, even the snacks, because usually there's a festival going on, so you've got plethora of snacks available. You can even get a Dole Whip. You can get your Mickey pretzel. You can get, usually they have specialty flavored popcorn. Even that they just don't do the popcorn. They've got 3 different flavors of it, plus the maple popcorn in Canada, right? So I just think that Epcot, when it was built, said, "What's Magic Kingdom doing, and how can we do it to the nth degree better?" And so there's no way around it here. We need to pick Epcot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think this is the one that really screams Epcot. All of the other categories that we have could kind of lean either way. This is the one that just heavily leans towards Epcot.
Yeah, definitely.
So next we have theming, and this is themed areas or kind of the overall theme of the park. That's kind of what we're looking at for this section, and this one's kind of tough because I do love Epcot. I love that the idea of like futuristic things and also having kind of like your old world countries in the back. I love that idea. Also, I just kind of had something. Epcot was one of the last parks to really kind of be refreshed for some reason. And when I say refreshed, I mean just like globally, like the whole thing. So it still kind of had that like 70s, 80s vibe, really 80s, like 80s vibe going into 90s. And for some reason, I dug it. Like, I thought it was pretty cool. The music that they had, Spaceship Earth kind of really had that vibe. So I really enjoyed all of that stuff. Kind of that, like, what the future was supposed to be in the 80s. I always thought that was very cool. And just kind of how they brought everything together with the futurism in the front and the old world in the back. I always thought that was very cool. However, I don't think, and I mean, we don't all know. If you're a big Disney fan, you know that Epcot kind of had a little bit of a identity crisis for several years there, where it like just didn't know what it should be. If it should be like this future park, if it should just like stay the same and just be what it has been for a long time. And I think they finally made that decision that, yeah, we're gonna up the ante and make this a future park with everything that they're coming out with. Hopefully they take it along the lines of what Tomorrowlands have been doing, and it's kind of like a future that never was. Kind of like, I know a couple places have like a steampunk future, stuff like that. And so that would be a great idea, because we all know that Walt was a futurist and he always wanted things to be pushing forward, and he had a super hard time doing that in Tomorrowland when he was alive. And I still think just with the way that technology moves, you wouldn't be able to actually make a future park. So hopefully that's kind of what they're going to be aiming it at. But it did kind of have that weird identity crisis where like it didn't really know what it wanted to be. So I do feel like for a long time, the countries in the back were kind of like helping that. Like, I feel like I would go to all of these great rides that were in the front, and then really the rest of my time is spent walking around the countries of the world. So that does kind of take away from the overall theme, I'm doing air quotes here, overall theme of what Epcot is supposed to be, because it is kind of like two different ideas put into one. So that doesn't really help. However, when it comes to Magic Kingdom, I feel like, I said this once before too, is that Magic Kingdom is just Magic Kingdom. There's no real overarching theme to it other than like being whimsical and being fun, because it has like all of these different lands. Really, the theme would be those old school Walt Disney TV shows, because that's kind of how he used TV, was to talk about his park and to advertise the things that they're doing with Disney in that park. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And just the individual areas of Magic Kingdom are just themed so much better than the individual areas in Epcot. Now, you could say that the theming of the countries could trump that, and I would say, yeah, you're right. However, just what the hot mess that Future World was for a long time just kind of detracts from the overall theme of Epcot. I feel like there hasn't really been an area like that for Magic Kingdom. Other than old school Tomorrowland from back in the day, but they pretty quickly figured out, not pretty quickly really, but they figured out what to do with that, and they figured out how to theme it so that it makes sense, and everybody likes it now, and they're probably going to change it again anyways. But that's the thing, is that all of these other individual areas are just themed so well in Magic Kingdom. So that's what I think. I definitely think that Magic Kingdom takes the theming because of all of these individual areas and how well that they're themed.
So I didn't go with a global type of outlook at this like you did. I kind of looked at it more granular. I'm thinking of Soarin' and the queue. Like, it's an awful queue, but you're meant to be in an airport, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's themed to be like an airport. You look at the queue line for Frozen, and you're going through their house. You're going through the little village at night, before you get on the ride. I love the sauna room with the little screen. And just walking around each country, like, you feel like you've entered that country and you've left wherever you were, or, you've left Florida. Future World drives me crazy because it's a mess. It's just a mess. If I could go on a quick tangent, you had mentioned steampunk, and I have thought that would be a great theme to use either in Tomorrowland or in part of Epcot. There is a great comic book out there about Figment, where there is a steampunk element to it, where he and the Dreamfinder go on an adventure. It's a Marvel comic, so if you can go out and find that, I think you can find it for $10. It's a great book, and I really hope that they use some of that when they start looking at what they're going to do with Journey into Imagination. Okay, off that tangent. I just had to get that out there because I think a steampunk themed land would be awesome.
Yeah, and I guess my dog definitely agrees with you.
So I would have trouble with the theming up in Future World, except when you go into each queue, they try to take you into that story. You get into Test Track, you're building that car, you're working towards what's going on. Like, there's a whole theme going on within that queue. And everything within Epcot seems built that way quite well. When you get into Magic Kingdom, I don't walk into Frontierland and go, oh, I'm in Frontierland. I can tell because of A, B, and C. Or walk it especially into Adventureland. Like, You have Pirates of the Caribbean, which is kind of adventurous, but then it's just kind of na until you get to Splash Mountain. At least for me, because you've got the Aladdin stuff thrown in the middle there, which kind of he disagrees with me.
I know, yeah.
But you've got Peter Pan, you've got and maybe it's that I haven't done. So when I first started looking at this, I'm starting to contradict myself. You've got some good cues there in Magic Kingdom 2. When I first started thinking about this, I immediately thought of the countries, and I thought about the theming in all the countries and how well it's done. And I thought about, like, it's a small world. There's no theme to that queue. There's nothing there to send you into the ride, right? You're just kind of walking in. Dumbo's kind of the same way. You walk into a tent and the kids get to go play until it's your turn to ride the, flying Dumbo. But then you look at like Storybook Circus. Other than the tents, it doesn't really seem like a circus to me. Fantasyland, it makes sense because you've got fantastical things. You've got the castle. But nothing like smacks you in the face like a Star Wars. And that's kind of where I was going. Like, you walk into the Italy Pavilion and you feel like you're in Italy. You walk into the Soarin' queue, and while it's dull and boring, you still feel like you're in an airport. And I know I keep going back to those. Spaceship Earth, and I guess that's not a very good queue, is it? You're pretty much outside for the whole thing.
That mural really gets me, though. So
yeah. I don't know. I was dead set on saying Epcot before we hit record tonight, and I think I've talked myself out of it.
Really?
I don't know which way to go right now. I've confused myself. So how's that?
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of really good points, and I think it's hard to ignore the countries because they are just so well done. That's theming. That's like you've got the theme of Italy, and it literally looks like Italy. I remember taking my sister there, and we walked in, and she was blown away by what it looked like because she's been to Italy. Like, she had been to like the exact area that they themed it from. So I don't know. Maybe it's my nostalgia. Maybe it's the fact that I listen to Lou's tapes all the time about all the little details in Magic Kingdom. Maybe if he made an Epcot one, still waiting for that. I feel like he said that before, that he was going to do other parks, but he never has. But maybe it's just knowing what I know about Magic Kingdom, which makes me feel like it's themed so well because of all those little details.
Yeah, I was going to say Epcot, but now let's just go with Magic Kingdom because Enchanted Tales with Belle is there. I just think that the queue there, like, it's a really great idea for a meet and greet, and the queue blew me away. So I'm going to just go with Magic Kingdom since I've pretty much talked myself into circles and I need to find a way out.
Sounds good. I would have to agree with you. So our last category is entertainment. And this is probably the one that could lean either way, because I feel like there's some pretty decent entertainment at each park. But I have a buddy, Jason, if you're listening, you're welcome. I would have to pick Epcot because of all of the different types of entertainment they have, all of the amazing entertainment that they have around the countries, all of the amazing entertainment that they have just in the park in general. Even in a Future World area, they have some pretty amazing entertainment. And I don't know, it's just the assortment and the volume that they have of entertainment, all the way down to, I mean, Candlelight Processional. That's a form of entertainment. That's not something that is constantly happening at the park. That's not a fixture at the park. You can even talk about all the different festivals that happen at Epcot as entertainment. Food entertainment and gardening entertainment, I guess, but it's entertainment. It's something that they're providing that's entertaining you. That's not something that's a fixed area in the park. I do feel like Magic Kingdom has some pretty great entertainment. People like the Dapper Dans, they're pretty great. The opening castle show, that's always really awesome. All of the different cavalcades that they got going on right now, parades, even when it comes down to the Christmas parties and the Halloween parties, those are definitely entertainment. I do kind of take away from those though, because they don't happen as often as the entertainment that is happening at Epcot. I feel like when you're walking around Epcot, there's just always something little happening. And I feel like they do that on purpose, because that's kind of how it feels like when you're walking around some place you don't know, and then you just happen upon some street entertainment or some place that you can go and see a concert or something like that. That's kind of how it feels when you're walking around and you just happen upon some really great entertainment. So that's why I like it. You can argue that these Christmas parties and these Halloween parties are just so entertaining, but you also have to pay for them. You don't have to pay for this entertainment that's happening all the time at Epcot. You don't have to pay anything extra other than the amount of money that you spend when it's food and the dining festival that they have going on. But
food and wine.
I couldn't think of it.
So, sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, I just think that Epcot definitely has more in place than Magic Kingdom does, but I do feel like Magic Kingdom brings the heat whenever they do want to entertain you. So it's kind of back and forth on that, which is why it's so difficult. But I would have to pick Epcot.
Yeah, and when I got to this category, I started listing everything I could think of in each park that was entertainment. And of course, Magic Kingdom has the historic. Epcot has the numbers, has 360-degree movies. It has, as you said, the different entertainment acts in all the different lands, the countries. It has movies. I think I may have said that. But the movies I'm talking about is like the Pixar 3D, the Awesome Planet that's in the land, that movie. But then you've got these, you've got the Jammers, you've got Voices of Liberty, you've got the Taiko Drummers. I'm not going to keep listing everything off. But as you said, like Epcot has everything. And I wanted to throw the fireworks shows out. I didn't want to consider them because I haven't actually seen them yet, other than watching the videos. But when you look at Harmonious and I look at Enchantment's a great show. I just don't care at the end. I don't have a feeling towards it at the end. And I hope that changes when I see it in person. Harmonious, I think Harmonious is beautiful. I think that the music is incredible. The performances that they got out of those, what is it, 100 performers that they hired, and they all performed in their own country, and like just the renditions that they came up with for these songs, I think really brings that show together. Yeah, it's an eyesore during the day, but at night, man, what a show. Again, I don't have an emotional pull at the end. I don't have any kind of emotional response when it's done, but I'm engaged with it during it. Like, I want to know what's that next song going to be? Like, can I hear more of what you're playing? I want to, like, I think that's really cool. So all that said, everything you said, I agree with. You throw in the fireworks, it's got to be Epcot. Hands down, they've got the entertainment.
Well, Brian, I think you said it. We must be related because we agreed on pretty much everything. So if we go ahead and tally up the votes, Magic Kingdom has 6 points and Epcot has 4 points. So Magic Kingdom takes it. And which I do feel like makes a lot of sense, given that like Magic Kingdom, I think it's your favorite park, and it in many ways it's one of my favorite parks. I mean, I have so many favorite parks, but it makes a lot of sense, and I do feel like it's that like main park. It's like the park that, the way I always put it is, when you think of Disney, you think of the Magic Kingdom. I know that whenever I'm looking up facts or information, it always starts at the Magic Kingdom. Whenever I'm looking for anybody that's going live, they're always at the Magic Kingdom. Anytime people are talking about where to get the best snack, it's always at the Magic Kingdom. So it makes a lot of sense that we chose the Magic Kingdom. Epcot, again, has some really great aspects to it, but all in all, I definitely would put it over Epcot.
Yeah, and like I said, after the Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom show, I believe Animal Kingdom ended up winning that one, if I'm remembering correctly. Mm-hmm. But I said, at the end of the day, if I'm standing there with a ticket to Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios, where are you going? You're going to Hollywood Studios. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if I'm standing there with a ticket for Epcot or Magic Kingdom, Mikhailo, where are you going?
Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. And when you talk to somebody that's going for their first trip that hasn't done the research and planning yet, and they start talking about, oh, we're going to Disney, they're talking about the Magic Kingdom. Mm-hmm. They're not talking about Disney World Resort. They're talking about the Magic Kingdom. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Magic Kingdom is winning tonight over Epcot. I can't wait to put it up against Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom and see what happens, because I have some strong opinions there. So I'm looking forward to it. But until we get to that point, we want to hear what everyone else thinks. What do you guys think? Come on out to Facebook, come on out to Instagram, and believe it or not, we're on Twitter.
Woo! Twitter.
Yes. And I told my daughter that we're finally on Twitter, and she said, that's old. She's 15, and Twitter's old.
Well, it takes us a while to do stuff, so
yeah,
we're old.
We're old. But we're on Twitter at Miles Podcast. You'll find us there. So come on out. I'm trying to do some posting there. So let us know, Magic Kingdom or Epcot. Give us, some of your thoughts on each of these categories. And, we have the Facebook page. We're on Instagram, like I said, and Twitter. So if you don't like any of those options, Miles from Main Street Podcast at gmail.com. Send us a direct email, and if you email us, I'm reading it on the podcast.
We will put it on the show for sure.
Unless you tell us not to.
Yeah.
But but we will read it, definitely. So yeah, please let us know what you're thinking, and it'll be great to talk to you guys.
Well, that's all we have for you guys tonight. We will see you next time on Miles from Main Street.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please rate us on iTunes and subscribe. Email us at milesfrommainstreetpodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts, and visit us on Facebook under Miles from Main Street. We'll be bringing more to you weekly and look forward to talking to you then.
Until next week, remember,
Some live close,
but most of us don't.
so let's talk about it.